Okay guys, here we go. I'm going to try something totally different. I'm going to make two videos concerning one news story. Yeah. First though, you have to realize that this political war going on at the moment, it's not about political parties, Labour, Tory, Restore, Reform, Greens. There are only two sides really. The patriotic side, the Restore Britain side, that wishes to restore Britain to a country it once was, yeah, that gives hope to the people. It's got one hell of a battle, one hell of a fight on its hands, one hell of a fight against those who would see the destruction of our United Kingdom, because that's what they mean to do with it. Labour, Tory and the Reform Party, which is controlled opposition, to hoodwink the general public into thinking that they would actually do something when they intend to do nothing. Yeah. Call them the Uni Party and Restore Britain, the only truly patriotic party out there, led by Rupert Lowe. The globalists control the mainstream media. Just six multinational companies own 95% of the Western world media. That includes like Western style countries like Australia and New Zealand. They control the media, so they control most of the narrative to the populations in those countries. Yeah. It's only the small channels and larger channels like the Lotus Eaters that can speak out against them and reach the public in general. Yeah. You have to know that before we continue. Restore Britain are our only hope. The Reform Party, I'm sure there are good people in it, but those people aren't aware of the fact that they are being used. Okay? Anyhow, you know the game is getting serious. Rupert Lowe said it himself. He said they're all against us now. The attacks are getting more vitriolic every single day. And I see there's a new player, a new game not a new game, a new player has just revealed themselves. This would be these people. Over on the Jewish news, the Zionists have come into the field. Yeah? What are they on about? Toxic anti-Semitism surfaces as Restore Britain eyes decisive role in by-election. Now I am going to review this story, but I'm going to review it in two different ways. I'm going to try the style that you're going to see next, and then sometime today I'm going to go through this article over on the Jewish news and dissect it line by line. Banner by far-right activists who attended May 16 Unite the UK March. Well, they got that name wrong there for a start, haven't they? End Zionist occupation of Britain, stop white replacement. There's nothing at all far-right about that banner. It's 100% correct. They do intend to replace the indigenous population of the United Kingdom. Make no bones about it. Make no bones about it. They intend to replace the people of these isles with the dross of the third world, which will be easy for them to control and manipulate. Okay, now let's get on with the story. Pause Paul back in the bunker. I'm going to be needing to be in the bunker when the second video concerning this article is released. Yeah, I might have to dig a deeper bunker. Right, pause Paul, get ready. Okay, almost ready. Swig of coffee. Okay, so we're talking about the Jewish news, and they run in what is in fact a really hostile piece against Restore Britain. Yeah. Its title is Toxic Anti-Semitism Surfaces as Restore Britain Eyes Decisive Role in By-Election. It was written by someone called Lee Harpin, who is their political editor, and it was published just a couple of days ago on the 25th. Basically, what they're saying is, I'm going to scroll through it, they're claiming that there's an entrenched anti-Jewish hatred among Restore Britain's supporters, while noting that Restore is now polling strongly enough to matter in the Makerfield by-election. They're framing our party as a party that could play a decisive role because one of their polls, which had Labour as 43%, Reform at 40% and Restore at 7%, again, they're inaccurate with their figures. We know that we're probably up around about 17% now. They're trying to downplay how well Restore is doing. So hence they've got the 7% there. So you can see who they're batting for already. Yeah. Thinking. They talk then about our candidate, Rebecca Shepherd, as our candidate, and then they quote parts of her local campaign messaging where she speaks about tackling gangs of foreign men, as if that's a bad thing, and investigating vape shops, Turkish barbers for trading standards or immigration compliance. Importantly, and this is important, they say that our candidate's manifesto doesn't even mention the British Jewish community. So what was the article about in the first place then? Was the anti-Semitism? There is none, yeah. And but they're trying to link it to Restore Britain and to Rebecca's campaign, even though she doesn't even mention the Britain's Jewish community. Think, Paul, think. Yeah. Then they start talking, they forget about our candidate then, and they move on to the people around or supporting Restore. They focus heavily on Steve Laws, and he's described as a Restore supporter with a far-right activist background. So what? They cite an interview with the Jewish podcaster Andrew Gold. That's one of the first videos I ever made, where I reviewed the interview between Andrew Gold and Steve Laws. Andrew Gold didn't come out of it looking very good at all. Steve Laws, and don't forget, I've been out of the game for a while. Steve Laws came across, I thought, as really well, although I still didn't know much about him at that time. As I said, I'd been out of the game for a long, long time. Well, I'm back in the game now, and I know who's who. Anyhow, Steve told Gold that in effect, that as a Jew, he was foreign and should leave. Now, the Jewish News said that was the most explosive part. I remember that interview. Yeah. Well, everything Steve said was true. Andrew Gold is not English. Andrew Gold seems to think he is English. I think Andrew Gold was telling porcupines then. Andrew Gold doesn't consider himself English at all. I've yet to meet a Zionist who would admit to another nationality other than Jewish. See Israel as their ethno-state, yeah? Might live in this country, but he doesn't see it as his own. A man can't serve two masters. Who else did they talk about? They talked about Chris Mitchell. They describe him as a former organizer for Patriotic Alternative. They allege that Mitchell has promoted anti-Jewish and Holocaust denial material online and urged people to support Restore Britain. And he posed with a selfie with Rupert Lowe at Great Yarmouth First Advent. I doubt if Rupert even knew who Chris was. It's the way they attack a party because of some of their supporters. Now, leave aside the fact that I might agree with the views of some of these people the Jewish news is talking about. You know, no party has control over individual people. I'm a member of Restore Britain, but Restore Britain has no control over what I say or do, none at all. They could condemn what I say, but that wouldn't stop me supporting them. They could remove my membership, and someone's trying to get my membership removed even now, whilst I speak, to get me thrown out of Restore Britain. I don't care, buddy. I really don't care. I support the cause, not the party. Currently, I support Restore Britain 100%, and I hope I do for a long time. I really do. I trust Rupert, despite all that's going on in his personal life. I trust Rupert. A man can't be held responsible for what his son does, no more than a son can be held responsible for what his father does. They used this guilt thing, didn't they, against the German people. German people shouldn't feel guilty of what their ancestors did during the Second World War. It wasn't them, it was their parents. And who's to say their parents were wrong? Times are changing, the truth is coming out, isn't it? The truth is coming out, and that really is frightening. News sites like the Jewish News and the Zionists, the truth is coming out. Then they go off on to, what are they on about? Oh yeah, Restore's position on kosher and halal slaughter. Yeah. Restore Britain is going to ban it. Yeah. That should encourage a lot of people to leave our country, our nation. Yeah. If they want to eat that kind of food produced in such a barbaric way, well, fine. You don't have to stop it overnight. You can just make its production in our country illegal and then have sweeping tariffs against the importation. Tax it to the hilt. Make them pay through their long noses to eat it. And then finally outlaw it. Yeah. Of course, they are saying that if you were complaining about stopping halal slaughter and kosher slaughter, then that makes you anti-Semitic. Of course it doesn't. It just means to say that you care about animal welfare. I love a bacon sandwich. I'm going to have one later, you know. But I don't want that poor pig who provided me with this bacon to have suffered at the end of its life. I want it killed humanely. Yeah. But of course, whereas people like me see it as animal welfare or anti-ritual slaughter position, they, of course, the Zionists, use it to say it's an anti-Jewish one, when of course it's not. Any of you remember that video out there? It's a trick we always play. I think I might play it at the end of this video, actually. Yeah. Oh, going down further through the article, they go on about Charlie Downs. They describe him as Restore's campaign director spokesman. He's a spokesman, he's not a person. Well, he is a person, but he's a spokesman. Let's get away from their new words, way of speaking. Actors and actresses. Today they say people are actors, male or female, they're actors. No, they're either actors or actresses, yeah. Spokesperson, it's either a spokesman or a spokeswoman. Let's move away from the bollocks. And says he has posted, he once posted something saying, Britain first, not America, nor Israel. Why would they see that as anti-Semitic? Israel says Israel first. America, Trump says America first. He doesn't really mean that. What he means is America second. Israel first, yeah? But to say Britain first is not anti-Semitic. Say then that Restore supporters are accused in Reform of being too close to Israel or Jewish groups. Well, what else are we to think when Reform has just announced that they've opened up their equivalent of the Labour Party's Friends of Israel or the Conservative Party's Friends of Israel? There's over 200 MPs, maybe 300 MPs who are tied to Israel. Whether they've been blackmailed or honey-trapped, I don't know. I don't know. But I do know that within Parliament and the select committees and the higher civil services, many of those people are also Friends of Israel. Posted a video where every one of them were declaring their interests or loyalty to Israel. Yeah. Perhaps this is why Rupert doesn't want all these MPs from other parties like the Conservative Party or the Labour Party, because of their ties to a foreign country. Perhaps that's why he wants British people who've never been involved in politics before, who are not tainted or corrupted or honey-trapped or blackmailed into supporting a nation that causes lots of foreign wars. Yeah. Oh, they finish off by saying, talking about Makerfield, the by-election, which I will be going to. They argue that it's become a test of Labour, but that the rise of Restore Britain and Rupert Lowe should be a big worry to British Jews. Well, if they're here legally, they've got nothing to worry about at all, have they? Yeah. No. That article published on Jewish News, it wasn't about Rebecca Shepherd's campaign in Makerfield, was it? It's a hit piece on Restore, trying to tie it to anti-Semitism. Saying that we are ugly people who criticize Zionism. I don't hate Jews, I don't hate anyone. I can recognize an enemy when I see one, and I know that Zionism is the enemy of the world. Global Zionism is the enemy of the world. Only got to look to America to see what happens when these people have control of it, of a government, becomes subversive, sends its sons and daughters to die for another country. No. He's saying that people like me shouldn't be allowed in Restore Britain, and yet it's people like me who will be the backbone of Restore Britain. Yeah. Then again, if they were to throw me out, I don't really care. I'd still support them. Yeah. Anyhow, that was my take on that video, guys, on that article, guys. What I'll do now is when I get time and I get back from where I'm going, I'll do a second video in which I'll dissect the article in full, line by line. Yeah, I'll have to tread very carefully, but there you go. Okay, guys, you've been listening to Paul Morris, The Green Arrow. See you on the next one.